Yes, 348 Tennessee. Yeah, we got a copy on you. Yeah, we're talking on a Cobra 142. How's it making it?
Oh, it's crystal clear. It sounds real good over here, man. I'd take the knobs off of it so you didn't tempted to monkey with it anymore.
Hey guys, it's Bruce over here at Be Cool Radios. And what do we got on the bench today? Yeah, maybe you saw this one before. It's kind of rare. It's a Pace 8193. Yeah, we're going to go over this guy a little bit and give you guys some tips. And maybe a few tricks, right? So over here at Be Cool Radios, you know, we do this for the fun of it. And, you know, we want to have fun doing these repairs and tune-ups to get our radios working as good as they can so we can, you know, get on the air, shoot some sideband, skip, maybe skip the pond, you know? Yeah, that's what we all want, right? So some of you guys, you know, you might be pretty versed in all this stuff already. And I kind of encourage some of you folks to, you know, get your hands dirty a little bit with it. But again, you have to be confident, because some of these radios are pretty old, and if you don't really have a great feeling about things, you know, you could, you know, get yourself in trouble. That's the last thing Be Cool Radios would ever want. So for you guys that are trying to get your feet wet in this, what I recommend you do is get one of those Uniden radios. Those old school radios from the 70s, 80s, 90s, those Unidens and Washingtons, Cobras. Yeah, those radios are kind of bulletproof, and also when you open them up, there's no exposed high voltage. The AC goes right into the transformer, and everything you're working on inside of them is low voltage. So if you stick your finger in there, you're not really going to go crazy on yourself. You follow what I'm saying? Now this radio is a little different, as you can see. Here we got a fuse holder, exposed wires, high voltage, low voltage. Yeah, this one's not terrible. I've seen a lot worse where that high voltage actually comes right up to the power switches, you know, and you got to be careful. There's low voltage, high voltage right here. That's terrible. So that's why I say, if you want to learn how to tune up a radio, yeah, start on those Uniden guys. Get yourself a Uniden chassis, whether it's Cobra, Realistic, you know, Uniden. They're awesome. Check out my other videos. I talk about them. I show you how to tune them up. And really, with the proper tools, it's not that hard. So what we're going to talk about this guy is, this is for you Pace owners and maybe some of your GE guys, your PLL02a radios. I'm going to give you guys a really good tip today on how the manual doesn't always bring you to the right place, because sometimes you can tune these guys up per spec by the manual and you're kind of left with something that's not optimum. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to pause this soundtrack here, because I need you guys to hear this. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is sideband filters. Now those Uniden filters are great. You hear me talk about the D858, why they're so sweet. They have this almost a Collins like filter. They're awesome. Now the PLL02a and others, especially these new radios, sometimes they don't have as good of a filter. This one looks like it's pretty hefty, but it still suffers the same thing I see PLL02a radios have. And that is, after you adjust the first IF over here, and then go through the tune-up procedure, and they have you then adjust the second IF, which is over here, right? Couple crystals there for upper and lower sideband. You're in tune, but the audio might sound a little pinched. Now, if you ever heard that, I'll give you an example here, because this radio is tuned up to spec according to the manuals. And I'll kind of give you some audio here and let you hear it. What I'm going to do is turn this audio up, turn the RF gain down, so we're just hearing kind of the detector noise, right? I'll turn this volume up. Alright, let's see if you can hear this now. There's upper sideband, and here's lower sideband. Do you hear that? This one has more of a rush, lower pitched sound, where upper sideband kind of has, yeah, like you're talking through a tube, kind of pinched, I call that. Okay? So what happens is, on these radios from experience, I'll turn this down a little bit so you guys can hear me talking, but hopefully that gave you a good idea what pinched audio is. And really it's just because the filter, it's kind of like a notch filter on a ham radio. These ones aren't as accurate as other radios, so you might have hit the notch filter just a little wrong. So here's the tip: you don't tune the first IF first, you tune up the second IF first. That almost sounds wrong, right? But it's the second IF, and do that one first, and do it by ear, and then go back and do the first IF for a 0 beat, so you're on frequency. Yeah, that sounds backwards, I know. Maybe somebody out there is going to go, that doesn't work. Well, it does, I'm telling you. With these guys, now listen, I'll give you this tone. You still hear that? That's pinched. So I'm going to go up here and let you listen. Alright, hopefully you still got that. The speaker's right here. Okay, what I'm going to do here is adjust this second IF first. If I can get my screwdriver in there. You hear that? So I tune that. See that audio change? It's like a notch filter on a ham radio. So what you want to do is cut. You don't want it all the way low and you don't want it all the way pinched. You want it kind of in the middle, so you have that sweet sounding audio. Okay, let's see. I'll go back and forth one more time. See, there's the pinched. And that's where it flattens out. So I'm going to go right in between those and try to find a little bit of both. Okay, right there. Now, when I switch it to lower sideband, let's hear that. Oh, lower sideband. Now this one sounds a little pinched. So let's go back in here and adjust that. Alright. Yeah, this one doesn't have as much of an adjustment, and that's usually the way these are designed. One will have more than the other, especially PLL02as. Alright, so now that we've done that, I have a better audio balance, if you're going to call it that, between the two. Yep. So sometimes you have to go back and forth and do that several times until you get the proper balance. Now I'm on video right now, that's going to be maybe a little harder to pull off one-handed, but I hope you're catching the gist of this. So once you get your audio sounding right with these radios, then you can go back over here and tune the AM, lower sideband, and upper sideband offsets. And 0 beat your radios to a second radio, and they'll be spot on frequency. And the audio over here will be balanced through the filter. Okay? Yeah, that's a Be Cool radio trick. This also works on, yeah, I see like those Lafayettes and PLL02a radios, they kind of suffer that same fate sometimes. Not all the time, but I think it's really up to this filter, how well it's aged. Because these filters are really just a bunch of crystals in a can. So they age and change just like everything else, right? Pretty sure that's what the culprit here is. Hey, but check this radio out. Yeah, you're not going to see this every day. These were unique radios. Here's your RF section for the TX. Here's your RX receive section. And look at that, whole bunch of, there's I think 4 integrated circuits in there, plus an audio chip. So yeah, this one has a modern design. In fact, you almost look at it and go, where's the rest of it? But it does work. It's a great design. I think they copied some of the designs from like the CPIs and the Stoner radios, where really sometimes fewer parts is better. Anyway, these are awesome radios. Don't get them confused with those Royce 23 channel radios that look like this, because those 23 channel radios with the 3 meters, yeah, those are crystal controlled. This is a PLL controlled radio, and in fact, that's it right there. Yeah, I don't recommend really monkeying with these PLL. You know, not all your radios have to go up and down all over the crazy place. I like to leave these radios stock. So right now, this radio, now check this out. I'm going to put this on eBay, or who gives me a holler says they want this, because, you know, this is going to find a home, I'm sure. This radio is all original. It's stock. It's clean. Doesn't have that rust. Check this out. It's got the original light bulbs from the manufacturer, so you know it's got low hours. Yeah, the clarifier is still locked, but we have this thing tuned up, and it's ready to find a home. Alright, give me some comments, guys. What you think of this Be Cool radio tip. And yeah, in the future I plan on doing some more tune-up tips, so stay tuned, alright? 73s. Be Cool radios in Seattle. Yeah, you gotta love those old radios, right? And these old cars too. 73s.